Hello, welcome to the Breaking Barriers, Inspiring Stories channel. Subscribe to the channel to always follow our stories. Attention, this is a fictional story. The events of this story did not really happen. It is just a fantasy about overcoming. In the heart of Silicon Valley, where innovation thrived and the latest technologies were born, there worked a man named Francisco, an elderly black man with silver hair and deep-set eyes. He wore the uniform of a janitor, a faded blue jumpsuit that had seen better days. For most of the employees at TechCore, he was little more than a shadow, a figure they hurried past without a glance. But for Francisco, each day brought a mix of humility and determination. His mornings began before the sun crested the horizon. The city was still cloaked in darkness when he set out, the cool air brushing against his skin as he made his way to the gleaming glass structure that housed the company. The tall building, a symbol of modern achievement, seemed to overlook him as if he were merely a bug scurrying beneath its polished facade. But Francisco was more than what his job title suggested. He was a man with a wealth of knowledge and experience, trapped in a role that many dismissed as menial. As he walked through the automated sliding doors, the fluorescent lights flickered to life, illuminating the vast, open space of the lobby. He felt the familiar pang of invisibility wash over him. Employees rushed past, engrossed in their conversations about product launches and market strategies, never acknowledging his presence. Young professionals in tailored suits and sleek sneakers didn't spare a second thought for the man who kept their workplace clean. It stung, but he'd learned to bear it with quiet resilience. Francisco's daily routine involved sweeping floors, emptying trash bins, and maintaining the pristine look of the office. With every flick of the broom, he felt the weight of his unrecognized potential. Years of hard work and self-education had equipped him with a vast knowledge of finance and management. Yet here he was, sweeping away the remnants of someone else's success. He could analyze market trends, forecast financial downturns, and devise strategies for recovery, if only someone would listen. He had accepted this job years ago, not out of choice but necessity. Family came first, and providing for his wife and children was a responsibility he took seriously. Francisco recalled the days when he had fought against the tide of racism that often swept through his life, but the struggle had only deepened his resolve. It was not just about survival. It was about setting an example for his children, teaching them that dignity comes from hard work, regardless of the obstacles one faces. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the office filled with energy. The buzz of laughter and brainstorming sessions echoed through the halls, a stark contrast to the quiet solitude of Francisco's world. He often overheard snippets of conversations about ambitious projects and innovative ideas, and it filled him with a yearning to contribute. Yet, each time he approached a group to share his thoughts, he was met with dismissive looks or polite nods that quickly shifted back to the latest tech trends. The unspoken barrier of race and class loomed larger than the walls around him. Lunchtime arrived, and the cafeteria bustled with employees. Francisco often took his meals in solitude, sitting at a corner table with a sandwich in hand, observing the dynamics of the office. The laughter of his colleagues was infectious, yet it only served as a reminder of his isolation. He could feel their judgment, an invisible wall that separated them from him. He listened to their stories of success and ambition, but none seemed to notice the man who kept their workplace spotless. Despite these challenges, Francisco held on to hope. He often dreamed of a day when his contributions would be recognized, a day when he could stand shoulder to shoulder with those he admired. He believed that with enough perseverance, he could shatter the glass ceiling that loomed above him. Yet, each day passed with the same rhythm, and he remained the invisible man, an unsung hero in a world that seldom paused to acknowledge his existence. As the day drew to a close, Francisco finished his tasks, his heart heavy yet resolute. He gathered his things, glancing around at the empty hallways. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow through the glass panels of the building. But to him, it felt more like a reminder of the opportunities lost in the shadows. With each step toward the exit, he vowed to continue pushing against the tide of invisibility that threatened to engulf him. Tomorrow would bring another chance to rise, to be seen. Francisco often reflected on the journey that had brought him to this point in life. As a young boy growing up in a small town, he had always been drawn to books. The library, a modest building filled with the scent of aged paper, became his sanctuary. He would spend hours exploring its shelves, devouring tales of brave adventurers and wise leaders. Those stories ignited a fire in him, a desire for knowledge that would follow him into adulthood. In his teenage years, while his peers played outside, Francisco could often be found at home, poring over textbooks on finance, economics, and management. The words on those pages spoke to him, offering glimpses of a world beyond the limitations of his surroundings. He knew that education was his path to a better life, but the reality of his circumstances often felt like a heavy chain. His parents had worked tirelessly to provide for their family, instilling in him a sense of responsibility and a deep respect for hard work. His mother, a seamstress, and his father, a factory worker, had always emphasized the importance of education, but opportunities were scarce. Francisco had watched them toil, their hands worn and tired, and he made a silent promise to himself. He would break free from this cycle. After graduating high school, he applied to several colleges, but quickly realized that financial aid wouldn't cover all his expenses. Disappointed yet undeterred, he sought employment to support his family and continued his education through self-study. He learned from textbooks, online courses, and anything he could find in the public library. His mind was a sponge, soaking up every piece of information that could help him build a future. Now, as he worked at TechCore, he utilized every spare moment to continue his education. During breaks, he would sneak into the conference rooms and read up on the latest market trends or finance articles on his phone. The stark contrast between his ambition and the role he played in the company was a bitter pill to swallow, yet he believed that knowledge was power. He clung to the hope that one day, this knowledge would be recognized and valued. At home, Francisco was a different man. His children, a bright-eyed daughter and a curious son, filled their modest home with laughter and energy. He cherished the moments spent with them, sharing stories of perseverance and the importance of education. They looked up to him as a hero, unaware of the struggles he faced daily. He was their world, and he wanted to instill in them the same passion for learning that had fueled his own journey. In the evenings, after putting the kids to bed, Francisco would sit at the kitchen table, poring over finance books by the soft glow of a lamp. His wife, Maria, would often join him, offering encouragement and understanding. She knew the sacrifices he had made, and her unwavering support was a source of strength. Together, they dreamed of a brighter future, one where their children could achieve what they could not. Yet, as Francisco immersed himself in his studies, the shadows of racism lingered in the corners of his mind. Small encounters with his colleagues served as constant reminders of the barriers he faced. A colleague might make a flippant remark about his work, or a dismissive laugh might echo in his ears as he spoke up during meetings. Each instance stung, but Francisco had learned to mask his pain with a smile. His resilience was forged in the fires of adversity, and he refused to let their ignorance extinguish his spirit. With every passing day, Francisco's resolve grew stronger. He knew that knowledge was a weapon he could wield against the discrimination he faced. He immersed himself in learning about corporate structures, leadership, and financial strategies, preparing himself for the day when he would no longer be invisible. He studied the intricacies of the very company he worked for, analyzing its successes and failures, and crafting ideas that could help it thrive. The daily grind of cleaning and maintaining the offices felt like a double-edged sword. While it allowed him to observe the inner workings of the company, it also served as a constant reminder of his place within it. He watched as younger employees, fresh out of prestigious universities, strutted through the halls with an air of confidence that made his heart ache. They took their positions for granted, while he had toiled tirelessly, waiting for a moment to shine. Despite these feelings of inadequacy, Francisco held on to the belief that he could one day rise above the confines of his role. Each night, as he closed his books and drifted off to sleep, he envisioned a different life, a life where he would not only contribute his insights, but also be recognized for them, a life where he could inspire others to break the chains of invisibility and strive for their dreams, regardless of the barriers in their path. In the stillness of the night, he whispered a silent prayer for strength, wisdom, and the courage to face the challenges ahead. With each new day, he vowed to continue his journey, to learn, to grow, and to one day become a beacon of hope for those who felt just as invisible as he once did. As the days turned into weeks, the atmosphere at TechCore began to shift. The once vibrant energy of the office dimmed, replaced by a growing sense of unease. Rumors swirled like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind, with whispers of layoffs and budget cuts echoing through the hallways. Francisco, ever the observer, noticed the tension rippling through the staff, the laughter replaced by hushed conversations and anxious glances. The company's troubles were multifaceted, a perfect storm of poor investment choices and changing market dynamics had led to a financial crisis that left even the most seasoned executives scrambling for solutions. Board meetings that once thrummed with excitement were now marked by a palpable tension, the air thick with uncertainty. The sleek glass conference rooms that had hosted countless brainstorming sessions now echoed with the weight of despair. Francisco continued his daily routine, moving through the offices, cleaning and maintaining the pristine image of the workplace. But his keen eyes missed nothing. He observed the worried faces of his colleagues and felt the palpable fear in their conversations. It was as if a dark cloud loomed over TechCore, and he couldn't shake the feeling that the storm would soon reach him too. In the break room, he overheard snippets of conversations. Executives discussing contingency plans, the financial team presenting alarming projections, and employees speculating about who might be next to receive the dreaded pink slip. The more he listened, the more he felt a sense of urgency to act. After all, he had spent years honing his knowledge in finance and management. Could he really sit back and watch as the company he had grown to respect teetered on the edge of collapse? One afternoon, as the executives gathered for another emergency meeting, Francisco found himself in the hallway outside the conference room. He could hear the raised voices of the leadership team as they struggled to find a way forward. His heart raced with a mixture of fear and determination. He had spent years quietly learning, waiting for the right moment to step forward. But now that moment was upon him. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what he was about to do. As the door to the conference room opened, a stream of executives emerged, looking defeated. Francisco's mind raced with ideas, and he seized the moment. Gathering his courage, he stepped forward, clearing his throat to capture their attention. "Excuse me," he began, his voice steady yet tentative. The executives turned, surprised to see him standing there. A few exchanged glances, and he could sense the skepticism hanging in the air. "Francisco, right?" One of the senior vice presidents inquired, his tone laced with curiosity. "What is it you want?" "I've been observing the situation closely," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "And I believe I can offer some insights that might help navigate this crisis." A brief silence followed, as if the air itself was holding its breath. The executives looked at one another, some wearing expressions of doubt, while others seemed intrigued. Francisco pressed on, his heart pounding. "I understand the financial landscape, the challenges we face, and I've been studying potential solutions. I may not have the title or the education that many of you possess, but I have experience and knowledge that could be valuable right now." His words flowed, fueled by years of preparation and silent observation. For a moment, There was only silence. Then, one of the executives, a sharp-minded woman with glasses perched on her nose, stepped forward. "All right, Francisco, we could use a fresh perspective. Come in and share your thoughts." The invitation surprised him, but he wasted no time. As he entered the conference room, he felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. This was his chance to finally be heard. The room, filled with polished furniture and a long, imposing table, seemed to mock his humble presence. Yet, as he looked around, he saw desperation reflected in their faces, a common thread that bound them all together, regardless of title or position. Taking a deep breath, he laid out his analysis of the situation. He spoke of the company's recent investments, highlighting the gaps in their strategy. He outlined potential areas for cost-cutting, emphasizing the importance of focusing on their core products and innovations. With each idea he presented, he saw a flicker of interest in their eyes. The meeting stretched on, and Francisco found himself caught in a whirlwind of ideas and discussions. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging, not as the invisible janitor, but as a knowledgeable contributor to the team. His suggestions sparked conversations among the executives, who began to realize that perhaps the answers they sought had been hiding in plain sight all along. As the meeting concluded, Francisco stepped out of the conference room, a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration coursing through him. He had taken a leap of faith, and it had paid off. Yet, as he returned to his duties, he couldn't shake the feeling that the true challenge was only just beginning. The crisis at TechCore was far from over, but for Francisco, a glimmer of hope emerged. The once invisible man had taken the first step toward being seen, and he was ready to fight for a future that had always felt just out of reach. The days that followed the meeting were a whirlwind of activity at TechCore. Francisco felt a shift in the atmosphere, as if the air itself had thickened with possibility. The executives, once burdened by despair, now buzzed with a newfound energy. His insights had ignited discussions, and for the first time, he felt like he was part of something larger than himself. Word of Francisco's contribution spread throughout the company, and he began to notice a change in the way his colleagues interacted with him. The once dismissive glances were replaced with nods of acknowledgement, and he even overheard whispers of admiration among the younger employees. Although he had always been dedicated to his work, it was a strange sensation to be recognized, not just for his role, but for his ideas. Despite this newfound attention, Francisco remained humble. He returned to his cleaning duties with the same diligence as before, aware that his journey was far from over. He knew that earning respect in the corporate world was a gradual process, and he would need to continue proving himself. One afternoon, as he finished tidying up a conference room, one of the senior executives, a man named Robert, approached him. "Francisco, can I have a word?" Robert asked, his voice serious yet curious. "Of course," Francisco replied, his heart racing. Was he in trouble, or was this an opportunity? Robert led him to a quieter part of the office, away from the bustling atmosphere. "I wanted to personally thank you for your insights during the meeting last week. It's not every day that someone from the janitorial staff steps up with such valuable suggestions. I believe your ideas have the potential to turn things around for us." Francisco nodded, a mixture of pride and disbelief swelling in his chest. "I appreciate that, Robert. I just want to see TechCore succeed. We have great potential, and I believe we can navigate through this crisis if we work together." Robert studied him for a moment, then continued. "I'm actually working on a plan to implement some of those changes you suggested. Would you be willing to help us? We need fresh eyes on the financial strategies, and I think your perspective would be invaluable." The request caught Francisco off guard. Help formulate strategies? This was a leap beyond his cleaning duties, a significant step toward the recognition he had long sought. "I would be honored to assist," he replied, trying to keep his excitement in check. As the weeks passed, Francisco found himself entrenched in discussions with Robert and other executives. They reviewed financial reports, analyzed market trends, and brainstormed strategies for recovery. Francisco's insights were welcomed, and his confidence grew with each meeting. He contributed ideas on optimizing their product line, enhancing customer engagement, and cutting unnecessary expenses. Yet, with every small victory came a shadow of doubt. Francisco couldn't shake the fear that he would eventually be dismissed as a mere janitor. Despite the growing trust placed in him, a part of him felt he didn't belong in those rooms, surrounded by people with prestigious degrees and years of experience. Then came a pivotal moment. During a critical presentation to the board of directors, Robert invited Francisco to share his perspective on the recovery plan. The room buzzed with anticipation, and as Francisco stood before the executives, he felt a surge of adrenaline. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady despite the nerves thrumming beneath the surface. "Our current situation demands immediate action and a strategic pivot. We must focus on our strengths while being adaptive to the changing market landscape." As he outlined his ideas, he saw the board members lean forward, engaged and attentive. For the first time, he spoke not just from a place of knowledge, but from a deep understanding of the company's potential. He articulated the importance of innovation and inclusivity, and how TechCore could become a leader in both technology and corporate responsibility. When he finished, a moment of silence filled the room before the board erupted in applause. The recognition was overwhelming, and Francisco felt a swell of pride. It was a turning point, not just for the company, but for him personally. He had crossed a threshold, stepping out of the shadows and into the light. In the days that followed, the board approved several of his recommendations, initiating a series of changes aimed at revitalizing the company. Francisco found himself more integrated into the leadership team, attending meetings and collaborating with executives to execute the new strategies. But with success came new challenges. He faced skepticism from some colleagues who were reluctant to accept his rise. During lunch breaks, whispers of, "How'd he get here?" or "He's just a janitor," reached his ears. Each remark stung, but he learned to rise above the negativity. Instead of allowing their words to discourage him, he used them as fuel to drive him further. One evening, after a long day at work, Francisco returned home feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. Maria noticed his exhaustion, her eyes filled with concern. "You've been working so hard, Francisco. Is everything all right?" He sighed, pouring his heart out to her about the challenges he faced, both within the company and from his colleagues. Maria listened intently, her hand resting on his. "You've come so far, and you're not just a janitor. You have a voice that matters. Don't let their ignorance define you. You're more than the label they try to place on you." Her words resonated deeply within him. He realized that he had the power to redefine his identity, not just for himself, but for everyone who felt unseen. With renewed determination, he decided to embrace his role, not only as a contributor to TechCore's recovery, but as a champion for inclusivity and change. The turning point had arrived, and Francisco was ready to seize it, armed with knowledge, resilience, and an unyielding spirit. He would no longer be the invisible man. He would become a force to be reckoned with. The atmosphere at TechCore shifted dramatically as Francisco's ideas began to take shape. The implementation of his strategies breathed new life into the company, fostering a renewed sense of purpose among employees. The days of uncertainty slowly began to fade, replaced by a collective determination to overcome the challenges that lay ahead. Francisco, now integrated into the upper management team, spent long hours collaborating with Robert and the other executives. His once quiet demeanor had evolved into a confident presence as he engaged in discussions and pushed for initiatives that aligned with the company's core values. The meetings were no longer dominated by anxiety. They were filled with passion and creativity. Yet, with his rise in visibility came increased scrutiny. Some colleagues, particularly those who had dismissed him as merely a janitor, were less than thrilled with his newfound influence. They exchanged knowing glances and whispered behind closed doors, sowing seeds of doubt about his qualifications. Despite the camaraderie he built with many executives, the whispers echoed in his mind, reminding him of the biases he had fought against for so long. One afternoon, as he reviewed financial projections in a conference room, Robert entered with an expression that suggested urgency. "Francisco, we need to talk," he said, his tone serious. "The board wants to see results, and we're under pressure to deliver. There's talk of possible layoffs if we don't stabilize our finances soon." Francisco felt a knot tighten in his stomach. The stakes had risen, and failure was not an option. "What can we do?" he asked, his mind racing. "We need to focus on innovation and customer engagement. Perhaps we can host a series of workshops to gather feedback from our clients. They know what they want, and it will show that we value their input." Robert nodded, impressed by Francisco's proactive approach. "That's a great idea. We can organize a customer summit and invite key clients to discuss their needs and expectations. Let's get it on the calendar." As the planning for the summit progressed, Francisco took on more responsibilities. He coordinated logistics, invited clients, and prepared presentations showcasing TechCore's vision for the future. The summit became a pivotal event, drawing in clients from various sectors who were eager to share their insights and experiences. On the day of the summit, the energy in the room was electric. Clients filled the conference hall, their faces illuminated with curiosity and anticipation. Francisco stood at the front, his heart racing with a blend of excitement and nerves. He had worked tirelessly to ensure the event would be a success, and now it was time to deliver. "Welcome, everyone," he began, his voice steady. "Thank you for joining us today. At TechCore, we believe in the power of collaboration and innovation. Your feedback is invaluable to us, and together, we can shape the future of our products." As he presented the company's vision and invited clients to share their thoughts, the atmosphere shifted from one of apprehension to enthusiasm. The clients opened up, sharing their challenges and aspirations. Ideas flowed freely, sparking discussions that resonated throughout the room. Francisco facilitated the conversations, listening intently to the feedback. He took notes, ensuring every voice was heard. As the summit progressed, he felt a sense of belonging he had long yearned for. He was not merely a janitor. He was an integral part of the TechCore family, championing the voices of clients and employees alike. As the event concluded, clients expressed their appreciation for the transparency and dedication TechCore exhibited. Many left feeling invigorated and eager to strengthen their partnerships. Francisco couldn't help but smile as he witnessed the positive impact of their collaborative efforts. However, amidst the success, whispers of dissent grew louder within the company. A faction of executives remained skeptical of Francisco's rise. They believed his lack of formal education and background disqualified him from holding a position of authority. Their murmurs reached Robert's ears, who became increasingly concerned about the impact on morale. One evening, Robert called Francisco into his office. "We need to address the growing tension, Francisco. There are still those who doubt your capabilities, and it's affecting team dynamics. I'm going to recommend a formal review of your position, an assessment to showcase your contributions and skills." The proposal surprised Francisco. While he was grateful for Robert's support, he couldn't shake the feeling of being put on trial. "What if they don't see my value?" he asked, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his voice. "Trust me, Francisco. You've earned your place here," Robert reassured him. "But we need to present your accomplishments in a way that highlights your impact on the company. You've brought us back from the brink of collapse. We just need to make sure everyone recognizes that." Determined to prove himself, Francisco threw himself into preparing for the assessment. He compiled data on the positive changes implemented since he joined the management team, highlighting increased client satisfaction, improved financial forecasts, and the innovative strategies discussed during the summit. When the day of the review arrived, the boardroom was filled with executives eager to evaluate his contributions. Francisco sat at the table, his heart racing as he faced a panel of his peers. Those who had once overlooked him, now scrutinizing his every move. As he presented his case, detailing the impact of his work, he saw skepticism flicker across the faces of some board members. But he pushed through, confident in the value he had brought to the company. He spoke passionately about the importance of inclusivity, innovation, and collaboration, echoing the sentiments shared by the clients at the summit. After his presentation, the room fell silent. Francisco's heart pounded as the executives exchanged glances, contemplating their decision. Then, Robert stood up, his voice ringing with conviction. "Ladies and gentlemen, I stand by Francisco. He has not only proven his worth, but has become a vital asset to TechCore. We should embrace his contributions and learn from his perspective." As Robert spoke, a wave of support rippled through the room. One by one, other executives began to voice their agreement, recognizing the positive changes Francisco had spearheaded. The tide was turning, and the murmurs of dissent began to fade. In that moment, Francisco felt a profound sense of validation. He was no longer just a janitor. He was a leader, an innovator, and an advocate for change. He had earned his place at the table, and he was ready to rise to the challenges that lay ahead. With newfound confidence, Francisco embraced the responsibilities of his position, determined to lead TechCore into a new era of growth and inclusivity. The path ahead would not be easy, but he was ready to face it head-on, armed with knowledge, experience, and an unwavering belief in the power of perseverance. The buzz surrounding TechCore reached a fever pitch. Francisco's contributions had not only stabilized the company, but also sparked a renewed spirit of collaboration and innovation. However, beneath the surface of this newfound success, tensions simmered. The ongoing financial crisis had left many feeling vulnerable, and the looming specter of layoffs hung over the company like a dark cloud. The board of directors, grappling with the pressures of the situation, called for an emergency meeting. Whispers of discontent echoed through the halls as executives speculated about the future leadership of TechCore. The CEO, a seasoned but beleaguered man named Jonathan, had become increasingly distant, his ability to steer the company questioned by both employees and clients. As the board convened, Francisco could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. He had worked tirelessly to build relationships and foster a sense of unity, but the cracks in the facade were beginning to show. It was clear that the company needed a leader who could inspire confidence and drive change. In a surprising turn of events, Jonathan announced his resignation during the meeting, citing the immense pressure of the ongoing crisis. The board members exchanged glances, their eyes filled with apprehension. With the company at a crossroads, they needed someone capable of guiding TechCore through the storm. In that pivotal moment, Robert turned to Francisco. "We can't overlook the impact you've had on the team and the direction you've taken us. I believe you are the right person to step into this role." Francisco's heart raced. The thought of becoming CEO had always been a distant dream, one that felt unimaginable during his days as a janitor. But now, faced with the reality of the moment, he felt a surge of determination. "I appreciate your confidence in me, Robert, but I'm not sure I'm ready for this." "You've already demonstrated your leadership capabilities," Robert replied, his voice steady. "The board needs to hear your vision for the future of TechCore. You have the support of the team. Now is your time to step forward." With a deep breath, Francisco gathered his thoughts. He stood before the board, his mind racing with possibilities. "Thank you for this opportunity. I believe that to move forward, we must prioritize innovation, inclusivity, and a renewed commitment to our clients. We can reshape TechCore into a leader in technology and corporate responsibility." As he spoke, he shared his vision for a more collaborative workplace, one that empowered employees and valued their contributions. He articulated plans for community engagement, diversity initiatives, and innovative products that align with clients' needs. The board listened intently, and as Francisco concluded, he could see the shift in their expressions. From skepticism to intrigue, after a moment of silence, the board chairwoman spoke up. "Francisco, we've seen the impact of your leadership in the past months. If you're willing to take on this role, we believe you have the potential to lead TechCore into a new era." With a mix of exhilaration and apprehension, Francisco nodded. "I accept the position." The words felt monumental as they echoed in the room. He had stepped into a role that had once seemed unattainable, ready to forge a new path for himself and for TechCore. The news of Francisco's appointment spread like wildfire throughout the company. Employees gathered in the break room, excitement buzzing in the air. Many had witnessed his journey from janitor to leader, and they embraced the change with enthusiasm. Francisco felt a swell of pride as he realized that he was not just a symbol of hope. He was a catalyst for transformation. As he settled into his new role, Francisco faced immediate challenges. The company was still reeling from the fallout of the crisis, and the pressure to deliver results was palpable. He called an all-hands meeting, addressing employees with sincerity and transparency. "We're in a difficult position, but I believe in our collective strength," he began. "Each one of you is vital to our success. Together, we will navigate these challenges and build a TechCore that thrives on innovation and inclusivity." The room erupted in applause, and Francisco felt the warmth of solidarity wash over him. This was not just about him. It was about creating a culture where everyone felt empowered to contribute. However, not all reactions were positive. A faction of executives who had previously dismissed Francisco's capabilities began to conspire against him. They questioned his qualifications, asserting that his lack of formal education made him unfit to lead. The whispers of dissent grew louder, threatening to undermine his authority. Francisco refused to be deterred. He knew that the challenges ahead would not be easy, but he was determined to prove his worth. Drawing on his experiences as a janitor, he understood the importance of listening to the voices of all employees. He initiated regular town hall meetings, creating a platform for open dialogue and feedback. During one such meeting, a young employee voiced her concerns about the company's direction. "We need to focus on sustainability and social responsibility," she urged. "If we want to connect with our clients, we must align our values with theirs." Her words resonated with Francisco, and he recognized the power of collaboration. He encouraged employees to share their ideas and concerns, fostering an environment where everyone felt valued. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The negative voices that once threatened his leadership started to fade, replaced by a chorus of support from the team. Days turned into weeks, and as Francisco implemented changes aligned with his vision, the company began to flourish. TechCore launched new initiatives focused on sustainability, diversity, and community engagement, winning back the trust of clients and employees alike. The momentous shift culminated in a presentation at the annual industry conference, where Francisco took the stage to share TechCore's success story. The audience listened intently as he recounted the journey from crisis to innovation, emphasizing the importance of inclusivity and collaboration. As he concluded, the room erupted in applause, and Francisco felt a surge of pride wash over him. He had proven not only to himself but to the world that he was capable of leading TechCore into a new era. The journey had been fraught with challenges, but he had emerged stronger and more resolute than ever. The moment was bittersweet. Francisco knew that his success would not only impact his life, but also the lives of countless others. He had shattered the glass ceiling that had long kept him confined, paving the way for future leaders who would follow in his footsteps. In that moment of triumph, Francisco realized that he was no longer the invisible man. He had become a symbol of resilience, a testament to the power of perseverance and the belief that anyone, regardless of their past, could rise to greatness. As the sun rose over the TechCore headquarters, a sense of optimism filled the air. Francisco had settled into his role as CEO, and the changes he implemented were beginning to take root. Employees buzzed with renewed energy, fueled by a shared vision of innovation, inclusivity, and community engagement. The company was no longer just a technology firm. It was becoming a beacon of hope and progress. In the weeks following his appointment, Francisco launched several initiatives aimed at transforming the company culture. He established an employee advisory board to ensure that diverse voices were represented in decision-making processes. This board included individuals from various departments and backgrounds, fostering an environment of collaboration and transparency. At the first meeting of the advisory board, Francisco addressed the team with enthusiasm. "Thank you all for being here today. Your insights and experiences are invaluable to shaping the future of TechCore. Together, we can create a culture that not only embraces diversity, but thrives on it." The board members nodded, eager to share their thoughts. Ideas flowed freely, ranging from mentorship programs to outreach initiatives aimed at underrepresented communities. Francisco listened intently, taking notes and encouraging discussion. This was a collaborative spirit he had envisioned for TechCore, a place where everyone felt empowered to contribute. Meanwhile, the success of the recent initiatives attracted attention from the industry. TechCore was invited to participate in various conferences and panels, showcasing its commitment to inclusivity and innovation. Francisco embraced these opportunities, eager to share their story with a broader audience. During one such conference, he delivered a keynote address that resonated deeply with attendees. At TechCore, we believe that innovation flourishes in an inclusive environment, he stated passionately. Our diverse perspectives drive creativity and allow us to connect with clients on a personal level. Together, we are redefining what it means to be a leader in the technology sector. As he spoke, Francisco could feel the energy in the room. His message of empowerment and collaboration struck a chord with many, and he was met with applause as he concluded. This was not just his victory. It was a collective triumph for everyone at TechCore. Despite the progress, challenges remained. Some executives continued to question the effectiveness of the changes, convinced that Francisco's approach was too radical. Behind closed doors, they plotted to undermine his authority, convinced that they could reclaim control of the company. One afternoon, as Francisco reviewed financial projections in his office, Robert knocked on the door, concern etched across his face. "Francisco, we need to talk. There's a growing faction among the executives who are unhappy with the direction you're taking the company. They're planning to present an alternative vision to the board." The weight of Robert's words hung heavily in the air. Francisco knew he had to act decisively. "We can't allow their resistance to derail our progress. We must show the board that our initiatives are making a tangible impact." Determined to quell the dissent, Francisco devised a plan. He called for an all-hands meeting to address the concerns head-on. He wanted to foster an open dialogue, allowing employees to voice their opinions and share their experiences. On the day of the meeting, the atmosphere in the conference room was tense. Employees filled the seats, their expressions a mix of apprehension and curiosity. Francisco stood at the front, his heart racing as he prepared to address the crowd. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice steady. "I know that some of you have concerns about the direction we're heading. I want to assure you that your voices matter, and I am committed to fostering an environment where everyone feels heard." As he spoke, he invited employees to share their thoughts. The room erupted with questions and comments, some expressing support, while others voiced skepticism. Francisco listened attentively, taking note of their concerns and acknowledging their fears. A young engineer stood up, her voice trembling. "I appreciate the changes, but I worry that we're losing sight of our core mission. We need to focus on delivering high-quality products to our clients. Francisco nodded, recognizing the importance of balancing innovation with quality. Thank you for your honesty. It's essential that we maintain our commitment to excellence while embracing new ideas. Let's work together to ensure we achieve both. As the meeting progressed, Francisco felt a shift in the room. Employees began to express their support for the initiatives, sharing how the changes had positively impacted their work lives. Their testimonials spoke to the effectiveness of his leadership and the culture of inclusion he was cultivating. By the end of the meeting, the atmosphere had transformed. The tension that had once filled the room was replaced by a sense of unity. Employees left feeling empowered, having witnessed firsthand Francisco's commitment to transparency and collaboration. In the following weeks, TechCore's reputation continued to grow. The company garnered awards for its commitment to diversity and inclusion, drawing attention from clients and competitors alike. Francisco's leadership was praised in industry publications, and he became a sought-after speaker at conferences focused on corporate responsibility. However, the faction of dissenting executives was not easily deterred. They began to escalate their efforts, attempting to sway the board with claims that Francisco's approach was unsustainable. Rumors circulated, undermining his authority and attempting to fracture the unity he had worked so hard to build. Despite the challenges, Francisco remained resolute. He continued to engage with employees, listening to their concerns and championing their ideas. He refused to allow the negativity to define his leadership. In a pivotal board meeting, Francisco presented the positive outcomes of the recent initiatives. Since implementing our diversity and inclusion programs, we've seen a significant increase in employee engagement and client satisfaction, he stated confidently. Our commitment to innovation and collaboration has strengthened our position in the market. The board members listened, some nodding in agreement. Yet, the dissenters were quick to counter. While these changes are commendable, we need to focus on traditional metrics of success, one executive argued. Our bottom line is suffering, and we can't afford to take risks on unproven strategies. Francisco stood firm. Change takes time, but the success we've achieved thus far is a testament to the power of innovation. We must continue to embrace our vision for inclusivity and quality. It's not just about the numbers. It's about the people behind them. The tension in the room was palpable. Francisco could feel the weight of the moment, knowing that his leadership and the future of TechCore hung in the balance. He took a deep breath and pressed on. I believe that together, we can redefine success for TechCore, creating a legacy that empowers both our employees and our clients. The board members exchanged glances, and as silence filled the room, Francisco knew he had made his case. He had stood firm in the face of adversity, and in that moment, he reaffirmed his commitment to the values that had driven him from the beginning. As the meeting adjourned, Francisco left the room with a sense of purpose. The road ahead would undoubtedly be filled with challenges, but he was ready to face them head-on. He had already shattered the glass ceiling. Now, he was determined to create a new standard for leadership, one defined by inclusivity, innovation, and unwavering commitment to the people he served. As the years passed, TechCore transformed into a shining example of corporate responsibility and innovation. Under Francisco's leadership, the company not only thrived but became a model for others in the industry. The initiatives he implemented had a lasting impact, reshaping the corporate landscape and paving the way for future leaders. Francisco's approach to leadership was characterized by transparency, collaboration, and a deep commitment to social responsibility. He understood that true success extended beyond profits. It was about uplifting communities and fostering an inclusive environment where everyone had the opportunity to succeed. The Employee Advisory Board continued to play a vital role in shaping the company's culture. Monthly meetings became a forum for idea sharing, where employees from all levels came together to discuss challenges, brainstorm solutions, and celebrate successes. Francisco made it a point to attend each meeting, ensuring that he remained connected to the pulse of the organization. One day, as Francisco sat in a meeting with the advisory board, a young woman named Maya spoke up. "I've been thinking about how we can further our impact on the community. What if we created a scholarship program for underrepresented students interested in technology?" The room buzzed with excitement, and Francisco's eyes lit up. "That's a fantastic idea, Maya. Investing in the next generation is crucial. Let's develop a plan to make this a reality." Over the next few months, the scholarship program took shape, with the company committing to provide financial support to students pursuing careers in technology. The initiative not only strengthened TechCore's ties to the community, but also inspired a new wave of innovation from within. As the program launched, local schools celebrated the partnership, and students eagerly applied for scholarships. Francisco attended the inaugural ceremony, where he met the first recipients. Each student shared their aspirations and dreams, and Francisco felt a surge of pride. He had once been in their shoes, navigating obstacles and dreaming of a brighter future. "Your success is our success," he told them during his speech. "At TechCore, we believe in empowering you to reach your fullest potential. We are excited to be part of your journey." The impact of the scholarship program rippled through the community. As students graduated and entered the workforce, many found opportunities at TechCore. The company thrived on the diverse perspectives these new hires brought, further enriching its culture. Francisco's leadership also extended beyond the walls of TechCore. He became an influential voice in discussions surrounding diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Speaking at conferences and participating in panels, he shared his story and advocated for systemic change within the industry. One afternoon, he received an invitation to join a roundtable discussion on corporate diversity hosted by a prominent think tank. As he prepared his notes, he reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the janitor's closet to the boardroom, he felt a profound sense of responsibility to represent not just himself, but all those who had faced adversity in their careers. At the round table, Francisco joined a panel of esteemed leaders, each sharing their insights on the importance of creating inclusive workplaces. When it was his turn to speak, he emphasized the need for actionable change. "We must move beyond tokenism and commit to building environments where everyone feels valued and heard," he asserted passionately. "Diversity isn't just a checkbox, it's a source of innovation." His words resonated with attendees, sparking meaningful conversations about how organizations could implement real change. Following the event, many reached out to Francisco, seeking his advice and guidance on their own diversity initiatives. He embraced these opportunities, believing that collaboration was key to driving progress. As TechCore continued to flourish, Francisco remained grounded in his values. He made it a point to regularly visit different departments, engaging with employees at all levels. Whether it was a casual lunch with interns or a brainstorming session with the engineering team, he believed in maintaining an open-door policy. During one of these visits, he met with a group of interns eager to share their ideas. "We've been working on a new product concept that focuses on sustainability," one intern explained, her eyes shining with excitement. "We think it could really resonate with our clients." Francisco listened attentively, encouraging them to explore their ideas further. "This is the kind of innovation we need. Keep pushing boundaries and don't hesitate to share your vision with the rest of the team. Your voices matter." As the years went by, Francisco's legacy began to take shape. TechCore evolved not just as a successful technology company, but as a leader in corporate responsibility and social impact. Its employees felt empowered to be agents of change, and the organization thrived in an era defined by innovation. However, Francisco knew that a legacy was not solely defined by achievements. It was also about the people who would carry it forward. He began mentoring aspiring leaders within the company, guiding them to navigate their paths with integrity and purpose. One afternoon, he sat down with a young woman named Elena, who had recently been promoted to a leadership position. "I'm grateful for your guidance, Francisco," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "You've shown me that leadership is about more than just authority. It's about uplifting others." Francisco smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment. "You have the potential to inspire others, Elena. Remember to stay true to your values and never underestimate the impact you can have on those around you." As he looked around the office, he could see the seeds of change he had planted blossoming into a vibrant culture. Employees collaborated across departments, sharing ideas and celebrating each other's successes. TechCore had become a place where innovation thrived, and diversity was not just embraced but celebrated. The culmination of Francisco's journey came during a company-wide celebration to honor the impact of the scholarship program and the strides TechCore had made. Employees gathered in the main auditorium, buzzing with excitement as they reflected on the company's achievements. As Francisco took the stage, he felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you all for being here today. What we've accomplished together is nothing short of extraordinary. Each of you has played a vital role in shaping TechCore into the organization it is today." The applause echoed in the room, and Francisco looked out at the faces of his colleagues, individuals he had come to admire and respect. "Let's continue to push boundaries, innovate, and create opportunities for those who come after us. Our journey is far from over." In that moment, he realized that his legacy was not just about him. It was about the collective impact they were making as a team. He had transformed from an invisible man to a leader whose influence reached far beyond the walls of TechCore. As the celebration continued, Francisco stepped aside, allowing the stories of others to shine. Employees shared their journeys, their triumphs, and the ways TechCore had impacted their lives. Each story reinforced the importance of the culture they had built together. In the end, Francisco understood that the true measure of success lay not in accolades or titles, but in the lives they had touched and the future they had created. TechCore had become a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of resilience, collaboration, and the belief that everyone deserved a chance to succeed. As the evening drew to a close, Francisco took a moment to reflect. He had come a long way, and while he was proud of the achievements, he knew that his journey was far from finished. He was committed to continuing the work that had become his life's mission, to empower others, break down barriers, and inspire the next generation of leaders. The legacy of Francisco would live on, not just in the walls of TechCore, but in the hearts and minds of those he had inspired. He had become a symbol of hope, a reminder that with perseverance and passion, anyone could rise to greatness.